Hello, welcome back to this channel. I'm so happy to be back here. I'm going to try and get on like a bi-weekly, at least once a month uploading schedule, but I kind of don't want to do like focused TBRs for every month anymore because it's really hard for me to figure out when I'm going to be able to read and how much I can read in a month. So I'm going to try and focus on the monthly wrap-ups or the bi-monthly wrap-ups. And I'm just going to give you this book haul. These are going to be the books that I'm going to be reading like until the end of the year. So you kind of get a little TBR, kind of little book haul feel. And let's just get right into it. For those of you who do not know me, I live in Germany and I'm actually also German speaking, and so for once I actually have a German book on my list, which hardly ever happens, but it's called Divant by Marlene Haushofer. It's a German book. Most of you will not be able to read it, or at least the English-speaking people, but it's about this woman who like wakes up, and she goes on this like trip to the woods, and she wakes up and she's inside a box, and everything outside of this invisible box is dead. I don't know, it sounded super freaky and super fascinating to me, and this is about all I know, but it sounded like the ultimate dystopian novel, and this is especially a newer dystopian concept because I feel like I've been reading so many dystopias that are all very similar, all about pandemics or the climate crisis, so this was just a different concept. It sounded super interesting and I had to get it. So, next on my list is A Long Petal of the Sea by Isabel Allende. I saw this in the bookshop because I was in Cologne a few weeks ago, and Cologne has some really big bookshops. They actually have a really good English book section, because my problem here in Heidelberg is that the English book section in most of the bookshops here are not very good. So I order most of my stuff online, so whenever I actually am in a big bookshop that has a good selection, I just like completely freak out and buy tons of books. So with this book I actually went by the cover, and this is about the late 1930s and the Civil War in Spain, and this family flees basically to South America, and this is basically their journey there and how they settle into the new life. That's all I know from the back of the book. I could read the synopsis, but I think you can do that yourself as well. So I'm just gonna leave it at that, but I just thought this cover was so nice. Look at that. I don't know, I just love the way this looks, so I had to get it. Next up down here is Olive Again by Elizabeth Strout, and in the meantime I found out this is the second book because the first book is called, I think, Olive. So I might have to read that book first. I just basically saw this cover. I also thought it was really cute, and it said winner of the Pulitzer Prize on here, so I was like, well, I guess it sounds like something good, but this is on the TBR. Next up down here is a book I have been waiting for months, so I was so excited when it actually got here, and that is Beloved by Toni Morrison. I bought this book. For those of you who've seen this channel for a while or who have been here for a few months, you will know that I love these Everyman's Library editions of different kinds of books. I have a small collection, and I tried to buy like the modern classics or generally the classics that I really love and enjoy in either the Everyman's Library edition or sometimes the Penguin cloth-bound classics. But I saw that they had Beloved by Toni Morrison in the Everyman's Library, and so I was like, I have to get it. And I've never read anything by Toni Morrison, and I think I have to read something by her. This is of course one of the most well-known works of hers. I'm super excited to get into it. I think this is going to be, I guess, more difficult to read than some other books. I don't know, I usually get the feeling classics are more difficult to read, so I'm really excited. And I'm so excited I got it in this edition. That makes me so happy. So, very excited to get into that book. Next down here, you've seen it maybe in a reading vlog of mine, is Clap When You Land. And I still just haven't gotten around to reading this book, but I've heard so many good things. I've seen this on Bookstagram a lot, which is kind of why I got the idea of reading it. And it's written in an interesting style, so it's like kind of written in poem style, I guess, or in like prose. I don't know what you would call it. I'm not a literary person. Leave it in the comments below if you know what it's called, but it's written in a different style, and so I'm excited to see what this has in store. Next up on my list is Piranesi by Susanna Clark, And so this is going to be a little weird because there's tons of book of the month books on my pile right now because my book of the month deliveries got delayed in the mail, so they all came at once. So all of the next versions are going to be book of the month book versions, just so you know. It's because they all got stuck in the mail. But yes, this next book is Piranesi by Susanna Clarke, and this was also on the shortlist for the Women's Prize for Fiction, which is why I definitely wanted to give this a read and look into it, because so far I've really been enjoying the Women's Prize for Fiction, except for no one is talking about this. That wasn't necessarily my favorite. But I will give you a taste of the synopsis. Piranesi's house is no ordinary building. Its rooms are infinite, its corridors endless, its walls are lined with thousands upon thousands of statues, each one different from all the others. Within the labyrinth of halls, an ocean is imprisoned. Waves thunder up staircases, rooms are flooded in an instant, but Piranesi is not afraid. He understands the tides as he understands the pattern of the labyrinth itself. He lives to explore the house. There is one other person in the house, a man called the Other, who visits Piranesi twice a week and asks for help with research into a great and secret knowledge. But as Piranesi explores, evidence emerges of another person, and a terrible truth begins to unravel, revealing a world beyond the one Piranesi has always known. This sounds like a really interesting read. I don't know, I don't think it's anything like I've ever read. But Lena Norms did a great video on all of the Women's Prize for Fiction books, and she said it was great, and I trust her judgment, so I'm gonna check this out. Next on my list is Home Before Dark by Riley Sager, and this is basically just a Halloween read. So I think Home Before Dark is like about a haunted house, and I usually don't read a lot of like thrillers or something spooky like this, but it is October, or we're going into October as I am filming this, and I wanted to have like one spooky read, and I was like, what do I feel like having? And haunted houses are kind of a thing that I could actually enjoy, at least when I watch scary movies. They're usually about haunted houses, so I think I can get on with this. So I'm really excited to dive into this for Halloween. This is like my little Halloween book. If you've ever read it, let me know in the comments what you thought. Next on the list is Beautiful Country, and I have not looked up the name, so I'm not going to try and pronounce it. This was the book of the month pick, I think, for September, and the author basically chronicles her arrival to the United States and what it was like living in the US or growing up in the US as a Chinese immigrant. And I find stories like that super fascinating. It's just anything I love to read has usually to do with immigration. So this just sounded really good. This was my book of the month pick for September, and I'm very excited to get into it. I actually saw this also in the bookshop that I was shopping in Cologne, and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna get that book soon from Book of the Month. So now I'm even more hyped for it. But yeah, I will let you know what I thought. Another book I've been looking forward to for a while is Cersei by Madeline Miller. At the beginning of this year, I read... The Song of Achilles, that's it. And I read The Song of Achilles, which is also by Madeline Miller, and I absolutely loved it and kind of got me into the mythology business. I also read Ariadne. I really enjoyed it, and then I saw that there was this on Book of the Month, so I got this as an add-on, and it was also Book of the Year 2018. So I'm really excited about it, especially because there's more of a focus on women, I guess, in this story, because Cersei at the beginning is someone, I guess, who's very humble, who doesn't think much of herself and becomes quite a badass. That's all I really know, but I trust Madeline Miller's writing, and I'm just super excited to learn more about like the whole mythology complex out there. So if you have any other recommendations on like mythological retellings in simpler, more modern language, please let me know in the comments. I really do want to get more into like Greek mythology. So up here I still have The Other Black Girl. I'm really excited about this. This was also the late night book club's pick for their book club basically. But yeah, it didn't get here in time, so I wasn't able to read it, but I think the live streams are always online, so I'm just going to read this and then watch the live stream of the late night book club. And as far as I understand, this is a story about a black woman who works in a company, and there's a new black woman that starts working there, or there's another black woman that's working there, and they have the problem that they keep getting like mixed up, hence the other black girl, because to all of the other coworkers, they're like the only black people there, so to them they're just the two black girls. And I don't know much else about it because I just saw it was the late night book club pick and I kind of just trust what they pick. So it sounded really interesting and I'm really excited to see what happens in the book, what kind of story unfolds. Sometimes I just try not to read the synopsis and just try not to think about it too much. But this sounds like something that I would be really interested in. Then, next we have Not a Happy Family by Shari Lapina. And this is also Book of the Month pick. I think this was the one for August. I'm not sure. Like I said, they all got stuck in the mail for a while. And this is a thriller read, actually. None of the books that were available for that month, because you usually can pick one of 5 books, really spoke to me. But I thought, you know what, a good crime thriller is always a good read to have around, so I'm going to read this in October also. So I'm going to read some thrillers in October, including the spooky book I just told you about. So yeah, that's what this is for. It's some form of thriller. I really don't know anything else about it. I know that's pretty bad, but I don't know. It sounded good. So the next book on the list I'm really excited for, and that is Pachinko by Minjin Lee. And this follows one Korean family throughout, like basically their family history. I think this starts in like the 1900s. I'm not exactly sure. But from what I understand, it starts with a girl that gets pregnant out of wedlock. And then she basically is brought to Japan by someone who offered to marry her and save her, grace, whatever women could lose by getting pregnant out of wedlock. This follows the chronicle of her family and what happens afterwards, and how she and her family gets discriminated against in Japan once she lives there because she's a Korean woman coming there. And it just sounded amazing. I've heard about it through BookTube several times, and I was like, that sounds like me. Multi-generational family drama saga with immigration. That sounds pretty much like my jam. I'm really excited to read this. I can't wait to get in. It's also a pretty thick, girl. I mean, this book is, I don't know, looks like it's 500 pages long. So that's going to be, I guess that's something that always scares me a little bit, but I think it'll be worth it. And then to conclude this full list, I have The Maidens by Alex. Okay, I'm not going to pronounce it. I want to pronounce this in German. I don't think I can do an English accent on it when I say it, because for some reason this reminds me of German. But anyway, you probably heard a lot about The Maidens. Also a crime story. Someone gets killed on campus, and then we kind of get the whole story unfolds. We find out who the murderer is, and it's a little mystery campus crime kind of a situation. But I've also heard tons about it through BookTube, and it just sounded like a really interesting story. And since I am still at university, campus stories just kind of draw me in. It always sounds attractive when people start talking about campus stories. So I got The Maidens. This, I think, was my book of the month pick for July that got caught in the mail. So I'm very excited to read this. Also probably in October, because this is our little crime thriller spooky month, so I guess it would be a perfect read for October. Let me know in the comments what you are like reading in the next few months. This was like my mini book haul TBR for like the rest of the year. I don't think I'll be buying many more books because I am working really hard on my degree and I can't read as much as I did beginning of this year. Also, we're not in lockdown anymore, so that of course does help the social life. Let me know what you're reading in the next few months, and we will see each other hopefully soon. Bye!